Alrighty, folks, we will kick off. So hello, and thank you for joining us for today's session, AI in SEO, leveraging AI to scale your efforts. My name is Daniel Nzwad. I'm excited to welcome you to today's session. If this is your first time attending one of our workshops, let me provide some context on Startout. Startout accelerates the growth of the LGBT community to drive our economic empowerment, building a world where every LGBTQ plus entrepreneur has equal access to lead, succeed, and shape the workforce of the future. I'm excited to welcome back our host for today's session, Ryan Ward from Rex Marketing and CX team. The floor is yours, Ryan.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks so much, Danny. Cool. Just a little bit more about myself. So I'm based here in Austin. I am the co-founder of Rex Marketing and CX. Before this, I was the co-founder of an ed tech startup contest. So I come from an education background. From there, went into being the head of growth marketing at a telehealth therapy company, help expand that company across the US. So a lot of my experience comes in the education and healthcare space. Have focused in all areas of marketing, but really focus on early stage growth for startups, tying into SEO strategy, content strategy, and just general growth marketing. In terms of what we do at Rex Marketing and CX, just to give a brief intro, we work with early stage companies, early stage startups, and small businesses. Specifically, we work across all industries, but we have a niche focus in the healthcare space with healthcare startups, but do work with a number of startups that are not in the healthcare space as well for things like SEO, content marketing, content strategy, web design and development, marketing operations, reporting, KPI tracking, basically everything that is needed to successfully run marketing campaigns and manage marketing for early stage companies. And in terms of pricing, we start as low as $300. So work with a number of small businesses, a number of early stage startups, and can kind of really fit into mostly any budget. But yeah, that's a little bit about me and what we do. But jumping into the material for today. So what we're going to be talking about is how to use and utilize AI to scale and move faster with your SEO efforts. So the first things we're going to be talking about is why AI for SEO. I'm sure a lot of us already know the answer to that, but I'm going to cover that a bit. Going to talk about just some AI tools, things that you can take a look at and explore post our conversation today to explore for different functions and areas of SEO strategy. Then you're going to actually dive into looking at some information on how you can leverage AI for different functions of SEO, such as keyword research, content creation, technical SEO and automation, and link building. And then within each of these, I'm going to go through and actually give prompts that you can use and utilize within things like ChatGPT to, actually have actionable information. Once you leave today, you can take these prompts, run with them, modify them for your own brand, your own company, and hopefully use them to expedite your SEO strategy if that's what you're working on currently. And then finally going to wrap up with just some common mistakes, some things to take from this to not make any mistakes or have pitfalls when it comes to AI and incorporating into your SEO strategy. So moving in first to why AI for SEO. So as we all know, utilizing AI can really speed up a lot of the processes that can take time, such as writing, research, things like that. So by utilizing AI, you can automate these types of time-consuming tasks and move faster, especially if you're a small team or an early stage company. You have, especially if you're in a marketing department, you wear lots of hats, you have lots of initiatives, lots of things that you're trying to balance and find time for in a day, week, month. And by utilizing AI, you're going to be able to work faster, also be able to accomplish more with fewer headcount and a smaller team. You can also use it to identify keyword opportunities faster. So versus you having to spend hours searching for keyword opportunities, building out keyword lists, etc., can do that much faster utilizing AI. Can speed up content creation. I'm sure all of us have taken a stab at using AI to create a blog post at some point in time. So as we all know, can really speed up that writing process and the actual creation of content for our websites. Can simplify competitor analysis. So when it comes to conducting research on competitors, competitor websites, can again speed up that process and reduce the amount of time you have to spend doing research. And then overall, just as a like all this to bring it together, overall can make SEO have a better ROI, especially for an early stage company, and make it more scalable. As I mentioned earlier, if you're a small team with limited headcount, limited resources, SEO can be one of those things where you're like, okay, we need to prioritize this, we need to find time for it, but how can I make the time for it, and how can I actually present this to my team as a good use of time to where we can get a return on the time and resources we invest into SEO strategy. So by utilizing AI, you're able to do that and move faster. And just want to call out a data point here just to show just the impact that and how positive a performance AI generated content can have. In a study recently done by originality.ai, this is from 2025. This data was pulled from just this past January. So, well, actually this month, this January, at 13.08% of the top rated content on Google is now AI generated. So lots of companies are doing this. Lots of companies are creating content that's AI generated, and it is ranking. So basically what we're exploring today is how to utilize AI to create this high ranking types of content and how to speed up these processes. So looking at just some AI tools for SEO, quick disclaimer here, I have tools listed in these different areas and functions of SEO. This isn't going to be a call or a presentation where I push these tools onto you to, invest in SEMrush, Jasper, Pitchbox, whatever the case may be. But if you're looking for tools, if you're looking for, and you're in a place where you are looking to invest in solutions, these are some tools that you can look at and investigate post this call, and explore for yourself if these are something that you'd want to invest in. So for example, when it comes to keyword research, a number of tools and ones that I'd recommend, SEMrush, Ahrefs, Surfer SEO. I actually utilize or have utilized all these to some extent, all great tools. Also going to call out ChatGPT, obviously. As you'll see here for all of these different functions, I've listed ChatGPT as being able to be utilized for these different functions of SEO. And that's what we'll be spending most of the presentation on today. Since ChatGPT is a free tool, can be easily approached by any stage of company, no matter how much time or how much resources you have to invest into SEO. ChatGPT can be a very powerful tool, which is why I have it listed here for all of these functions. When it comes to technical SEO, Sitebulb and WordLift are also ones I'd recommend checking out. When it comes to content creation, Jasper AI, Copy AI, competitor analysis, SimilarWeb, and SER ranking, and then or SE ranking, and then link building, Pitchbox, and Respona. So when it comes to these, I've utilized the majority of these tools and I tested them myself to some extent. When it comes to using one of these tools that have AI functionality, like for example, SEMrush and Ahrefs, they have AI functionality within their products, which is why I have them listed here. However, a lot of them basically, you invest in the tool to have a nicely packaged solution with the tools that come along with it. Whereas if you're using ChatGPT, it's less, what's the word I'm looking for? It's less robust in terms of what it can do, but it is still a great tool to utilize, especially as you're getting things started and looking at ways to utilize AI for your SEO strategy. So with that, I'm going to be moving into the actual functions of SEO strategy, specifically speaking towards how you can utilize ChatGPT or AI for these different functions. So looking into keyword research, these are some key ways that you can utilize AI when it comes to conducting keyword research for your company. So if you're obviously if you're at this conversation today, you probably have explored SEO or doing SEO to some or have been doing it for a while. As you know, when it comes to building keyword research or doing keyword research and building out keyword lists, it can be a very time-consuming process, especially if you're conducting thorough research, going through and looking for analyzing metrics, etc., for each of the keywords that you're building onto this list. So that being said, utilizing AI, you can greatly increase the speed at which you work and generating these keyword ideas. So one way that I like to use ChatGPT specifically is brainstorming for potential keyword variations and related terms. So for example, if you have, let's say you're a clothing brand that sells funny t-shirts, what I would then do is I would take uh, that term or funny t-shirts, for example, and look at how I can use ChatGPT to expand on that search term to create multiple variations of that. That ties into identifying long tail keywords. So when it comes to, I'm sure hopefully we're all are aware of what long tail keywords are, but these are longer keyword phrases that are compiled of 3 to 4 words. By utilizing ChatGPT, you can build extremely robust list of potential long tail keywords for, let's say, funny shirts, for example. Can very easily generate that list and produce, 50 plus words for you to then analyze and go through it and see if these are opportunities for you to create content for or what have you. One quick disclaimer here is that just because ChatGPT generates something or generates a keyword does not mean that it's a good opportunity. Obviously, you're going to want to go through and conduct the research around metrics to see if this is actually something you want to explore. We're not going to get into the metrics and all that nitty gritty today, but the things you'd want to look for are like search volume, keyword difficulty. If you're looking at running paid campaigns around these, looking at CPC, these are the types of metrics that I would then look through and analyze once I've generated this list of long tail keywords. So just coming through and generating the long tail keywords, that's just one step of the puzzle. You then would want to take that list and analyze and determine, okay, which one of these that have been generated are actually worth my time to go after and create content and explore further. I would like to say using AI, it's only as smart as the strategy you're using to implement it. I'm not going to come to ChatGPT or an AI tool and look for it to generate my whole SEO strategy for the next 3 months. I'm going to use it as a tool to augment the strategy that I've come up with myself based off of my own kind of what the goals are for the business. So that being said, once you build out this keyword list and these long tail keywords, you'd want to conduct that research. Additionally, once you have a keyword list, you can also look at analyzing user intent. So if you have a list of keywords, you can analyze, like, are these transactional keywords? Are these informational, or this transactional intent? Is this informational intent? So on and so forth, to then better determine, again, should I create content around this? We talked about this in my presentation that I conducted yesterday, but when it comes to user intent, this is really the key when it comes to creating content. What is the end goal for you and the business when it comes to creating this piece of content, whether it be a new page for the website, a new product, a new feature page, a new blog post, a comparison guide, whatever the case may be, what is the end goal of that? And that's going to help you determine what search intent you want to align with for the keywords you've produced and what keywords you want to utilize. Next, looking at keyword clustering. So again, when it comes to generating this list of keywords, there are going to be keywords that are related and that could be tackled together in a piece of content. So keyword clustering, and for those who aren't aware, is the act of grouping groups of keywords together to create a cluster that can then be, like, say, for example, you have a cluster of 3 different keywords you want to target. You could create a blog post or a how-to guide or what have you that is targeting that cluster of keywords. So I will use ChatGPT to give it a list of keywords, say, hey, put this into a keyword, break this up into keyword clusters that I can then use to identify opportunities for blog posts or content, what have you. And then finally, trend identification. This one can also be helpful, especially if you're in a space that has regular changes or it can get a lot of buzz, has buzzwords buzzing coming up. You can use ChatGPT to identify those trend words and identify those trending keywords for your specific industry. As simple as going into ChatGPT and saying, hey, what are the top trending topics in the mental health care space related to ketamine therapy, for example. This is like a very niche example, but that's what kind of the direction you can go when it comes to identifying those types of trends. So these are just some ways you can utilize AI for keyword research. There's a lot here, but we're going to dive it down into some prompts that you can use for some aspects of keyword research. So first, when it comes to identifying long tail keywords, these are a couple prompts that you can use, and we'll talk about structuring here. But you can obviously take these prompts today, tweak them, modify them to your brand, your service, your product. These are really just the prompts I'll be providing today. These are really just to get your gears turning of how you can utilize ChatGPT to speed up the processes when it comes to implementing SEO strategy, doing research, creating content, so on and so forth. One of the fun things about using ChatGPT and just AI in general is that you can continue to modify and explore prompts and modify prompts to get it to be exactly what you like. So maybe, for example, you go in with this prompt in example one, you get a result. You can then go back to the drawing board and say, hey, I want to further break this down to be even more specific with the prompt, or I want to change the tone of what it's providing, or I want to provide information to ChatGPT on what the end goal of this is. You can really expand on this as much as you'd like. Again, these are just places to start to guide you in this process. So in this first example of identifying long tail keywords, I had an example here of using women's shoes as the seed keyword, identify 15 long tail keywords that potential customers might use when they look for comfortable and affordable shoe options. So you'll see here that using this as an example, we're going to go in with what's our main product? What is the main thing that we are selling or we're offering in our business, which is women's shoes. We're going to use that as the main keyword, and we're going to identify these 15 other opportunities. So we didn't have enough space here on the slide to provide the output of this, but it can generate things like women's shoes that are affordable, women's shoes that are for working moms, so on and so forth. But again, ChatGPT, I like to utilize it as a brainstorming tool, especially in this keyword phase of things, where it's going to spit out 15 long tail keywords that I can then use to explore and understand, hey, is the volume there? Is the keyword difficulty too high? Are the metrics pointing in the right direction for me to further go down the hole of using this long tail keyword? Example two. So using sales CRM as the seed keyword, identify 20 long tail keywords that potential customers might use when researching for alternatives to HubSpot. So this is a good example if you're producing a comparison guide. Say, for example, you're a software company, you have a competitor in the space that you want to position yourself against. You can go in and say, use whatever your industry term is, sales CRM, could be onboarding software, could be accounting software, whatever the case may be, or whatever your product is. You can use it to identify these long tail keyword opportunities that you can use to create the content for when someone's researching alternatives to a competitor solution. So again, these are just two examples of whether it's, you're looking to generate long tail keywords for an actual physical product like shoes that you could then maybe use for product pages or a blog post or a collections page, or an example too, where you're looking at creating like a piece of content, like a comparison guide for a software company. But both are great examples of how you can use this to identify these opportunities and again, brainstorm and generate these keywords for you to further research. Then some examples of keyword clustering. So this is pretty straightforward, but say, for example, you've gone through and you've generated this list of keywords in an earlier step of this brainstorming process. You can then come to ChatGPT and say, group the following keywords into clusters based on topic relevance. You would then like just copy and paste your list of keywords. And you can also clarify, give it in a table format. So again, as I said earlier, as you can modify, experiment, test test these prompts and introduce new criteria for the output to generate. For example, I said, give the output in a table format. This is one example of how you can further modify what it's spitting out to you based off of the prompt. It can then group these keywords into a cluster and generate some grouped ideas that you could then explore for creating content. Example two, this would actually be like a follow-up prompt. So let's say you just used this prompt to create keyword clusters. You can say, give me one blog topic I could write about that has a transactional search intent for each of these clusters. So again, by doing this, say you inputted a list of 50 keywords, and broke it down into say 5 or 6 clusters. You then have 5 or 6 blogs that have transactional search intent that you can then explore and create content around once you've done this work and gotten the keyword clusters and gotten the blog topic provided. So again, I like to say like ChatGPT and utilizing AI, it's all about how you can strategically use it to you come to the drawing board with the strategy set of what you are looking to accomplish with your SEO work and what the goals are of the company, and then look at utilizing it for things like this to speed up the process, to spit out blog topics that you can then actually use to create AI to create that content and move 10 times faster than you would if you weren't utilizing AI. So transitioning nicely into content creation. So let's say we just went through, we got those keyword clusters, we got blog topics. Now we're moving into how we'd actually go about creating that content. So some tips for creating content using AI. Again, I'm sure all of us have done this at some point or are currently doing this and using AI to generate content for our websites or for our blogs, etc. When it comes to using AI, I like to say I'm sure we all have come across a blog where we read it and we say, oh, this was definitely a ChatGPT blog. This is definitely someone had generated this and just copy and pasted it to their website. Ultimately, the goal is for you to not produce content that appears that way. People are becoming more sophisticated and understand, hey, this piece is AI generated or it's not AI generated. And these are some tips on how you can combat that and actually create content utilizing AI that doesn't appear to be AI generated and that is actually more informative and creative in nature. So some ways that I utilize AI is one for outlining inspiration. So if I have say I just got that blog topic from doing the keyword clusters, I can then go in and ask ChatGPT, hey, give me an outline of how I would structure this blog. Especially if you're someone who likes to write, this can be a great way to speed up the process of formatting your content and then just going in later and filling in your paragraphs or your content that you'd write yourself. But outlining is something that I do very often when I go out creating new content and utilize ChatGPT in that way. You can also use it to expand on copy you've already written. One technique that I'll often do too is if I have say I'm trying to create a section for a piece or a section for a blog or a how-to guide or what have you, what you can do is you can write 2 to 3 sentences that you've written yourself and ask it to expand upon that content following that same tone that you've written for those past 3 sentences. That's one way that you can also just have it expand upon what you've written already. Follow that same guide, those previous sentences as a guide for tone that have been written by an actual human, and very quickly create paragraphs and paragraphs of text that don't appear to be AI generated because it's going off of text that you've written as a guide. One other thing that you can do, sometimes when you go about creating blog content or creating posts, it's always helpful for a blog piece or any piece of content to have data points or data that's referenced. That's also a sign that the piece is not AI generated, especially if it's referencing outside data. Um, if you were to go to ChatGPT today and say, hey, write a blog post about X, it's going to be text-based. It's not going to reference any data, so on and so forth. So what I'll do at times, if I have a piece and I want to pull in extra data points, or I want to pull in other outside sources to supplement the information I've already written, or that I've written in some other manner, you can actually just ask ChatGPT, hey, find me a recent study from 2024 about how AI has impacted SEO. And it's going to actually give you links to sources and links to data that you can then implement and use within a piece that's already been written. These are just like small things that can make a big difference when it comes to producing and creating content and putting it out there for people to read. And then finally, and I think that's also something that I like to do as well. If you're a company that has testimonials, user stories, so on and so forth, you can actually take those testimonials and ask ChatGPT to create content around that testimonial and around that customer story. Another telltale sign that something is not AI generated is that whenever it references personal anecdotes or personal stories, if you'd ask ChatGPT to write a blog post without like just blindly, it's never going to reference those personal stories that you have or customer anecdotes or customer testimonials that you have that are related to your brand or your services. So you can then incorporate those and ask ChatGPT, hey, create some content based around this testimonial, and it's going to make it feel more personal, and it's going to make it feel more genuine versus it being AI generated. So again, some examples of how I'd go about doing some of these things. When it comes to creating outlines, let's say, for example, going back to the keyword clusters. We've generated these keyword clusters. We've gotten a blog topic from it. I would then say, hey, I've prepared a blog title, how to optimize your website for conversion rate, draft an SEO-friendly outline that structures the blog post, offering a sequential flow of topics to be covered with a conclusion. Again, it's going to spit out headings, subheadings, titles that are going to help guide you in that process of writing that content. Especially if you're someone who's like, hey, I just need the outline and then I can do the writing. This is going to be a very easy way to do that and help with the brainstorming process and make that writing process much faster. Going back to another example of if you're not doing a blog, but you're doing a comparison piece, you can ask it to create an outline for a comparison piece on HubSpot versus Pipedrive for startups. Create an outline that structures the piece. Make sure you discuss features like sales forecasting, pipelines, and deal management. So again, you can also, if there's topics that you want to for sure be incorporated into the content or into the piece, you can make sure that you can tell it to actually incorporate these types of headings, these features. So let's say, for example, like say we're Pipedrive and we want to sell against HubSpot for our sales forecasting features, our pipeline features, our deal management features. This could be a great way to very easily create that outline. And it's going to already spit out those headings for us to speak highly about these features that are better than a competitor or what have you. So again, if you are a company that has a competitor in the space that you're trying to sell against, or you're trying to present yourself as an alternative, this is a great way to highlight not only your software, but also the features and how you beat out the competitor by having an outline created like this. And then an example of creating content from testimonials. So write a paragraph of the importance of optimizing your blog post for on-page SEO, referencing this customer testimonial. I just made up this testimonial as an example, but before I worked with Trends SEO agency, we were hardly generating any traffic for our website. Now we've worked with them, we've seen traffic triple within 3 months. This is a good example of how if you have any sort of reviews, anecdotes, testimonials from clients or past customers, you can very easily create content. And this can also be helpful when you're looking at creating case studies. So if you're looking to create some case studies, which can be a pretty time-consuming process of creating a customer case story, this can be a process of creating these paragraphs, creating these texts that can be then utilized within a case study, comparison piece, a blog post, and they're going to reference that testimonial. So it's going to seem more organic, more natural, more authentic than something that's just pure AI generated text. The second example here. So create a paragraph talking about the importance of user retention as it relates to user onboarding based on this customer data. Ad roll saw a 20% increase in user retention. I actually took this from a company that actually I previously used to work at, AppQs, which is user onboarding software. But you can see here, if you just have raw data as well, say that you saw like one of our past clients saw a 20% increase in sales or, in user retention or whatever the case may be, you can use just those data points to create paragraphs or create text that, again, references this customer data and is more authentic to your brand, your story, your offering that's not just strictly AI generated. So again, as you can tell from these examples, I'm never someone to say, just go to ChatGPT, give it a title for a blog and say, give me a blog, create this blog post for me. First off, people are going to be able to read that and tell that it's AI generated. And I often find that's not beneficial in terms of creating pieces that are actually informational or have high opportunity for converting or what have you. When it comes to creating content, it's all about, first off, being informational, really being authentic. So speaking to previous experiences, previous testimonials from clients, how your product can help or the difference it can make to work with y'all, whatever the case may be. But it's all about using ChatGPT to do the brainstorming, speed up the writing process. And even if it's just like writing 2 to 3 sentences to give ChatGPT a guide for tone and the direction you want to go, that can be a world of difference in terms of actually creating those longer pieces of content or those longer blog posts or case studies, etc. So AI for technical SEO audits. So when it comes to using AI for technical SEO, you can use SEO to find broken links. So if you were to say, hey, go to my website, do I have any broken links? This is an easy way to do this. I would say that truthfully, if you're using Ahrefs or SEMrush, those tools already have this built into it. And it's going to be more informational than what ChatGPT can do. But if you're not utilizing one of those tools and you just want to find broken links and see if you have any, you can do that through ChatGPT. You can also search for duplicate content. Again, if you're using a tool like SEMrush or Ahrefs, you're going to be able to see that information within these tools. And kind of going back to what I said earlier, with these different tools for AI, what you're really paying for is like it being packaged and going a step further than what you can do in ChatGPT. So I like to say ChatGPT is a great place to start and a great place to do the brainstorming and move faster. But obviously, if you're looking at using a tool like Jasper AI or Copy.ai, those tools are built and they sell as tools for content creation. Obviously, they're going to have a much more robust feature set than just plain ChatGPT. They're going to have other features that you can't harness or break or get into by just using, OpenAI ChatGPT. So again, if you're looking to go a step further and, have a tool that can have additional features, can take it a bit further than what you can do with just plain ChatGPT, that's when you would want to look at investing in some of those other outside tools that have those additional features. but obviously comes with a price tag. But again, like you can conduct these things like the finding broken links, duplicate content, analyzing meta tags within ChatGPT, but it's going to be pretty kind of like that first layer of information. And to go a step further, you'd want to like invest in an outside tool to take that extra step. Especially if you're doing like that type of analysis. For things like schema markup, so I'm hopefully everyone is aware of schema markup who's on the call today, but schema markup is basically just the best way I can describe it. It's kind of like a blueprint that you would have on your piece that signals to Google what type of content you have. So for example, if you have FAQs, if it's an article, so on and so forth, there's a number of different types of schema markups, but and it can be confusing if you're not familiar with schemas. But that being said, you can use ChatGPT to generate this type of content and generate these schema markups, whether it be for product pages, review pages, event pages, FAQs. Those are all types of schema markups that are things that can be generated using ChatGPT. Really, I like to say too, using ChatGPT, it's a generative tool. That's really how it can be very helpful. It's generally speaking, I don't think of ChatGPT as a tool that I go to for analysis. It's going to be more of a tool that I go to generate content, generate ideas, generate code, generate schema markups, those types of things. But if you need to make these markups, if you're not familiar with how to create these markups, these schema markups, ChatGPT can be very helpful in that process and generate these markups for you. Can help with internal linking strategy as well. So it can help with looking for internal link opportunities for blog pieces you've written. So by providing it like a link to your blog and your list of articles, you can actually say, hey, are there opportunities for internal linking in this piece of content? And it can give you that list of opportunities. And then similar to like a schema markup, you can also generate a robot.txt file. So for those who aren't aware, like robot.txt files are important. It basically signals to Google crawlers what they should be crawling or what they should not be crawling. And if you aren't familiar with those, or you're looking to create a more complex robot.txt file, you can do that easily within ChatGPT and have it generate that for you. So for an example of schema markups, this first example, generate schema markup for the following list of frequently asked questions, and then you just input the list of questions and answers. These are, so FAQs is a type of schema markup. And again, if you're not familiar with it, this can be a lifesaver to where you can just say, hey, spit it out. It'll spit it out for you. You can implement that on the page for FAQ, for the page that has the FAQs. For number two, also too, if maybe you're unsure of what type of schema markup you should use, ChatGPT can be helpful in analyzing content on a page to give you recommendations of what schema markup is most appropriate. So for example, with this one, analyze this page on my website and then input your URL. Which type of schema markup is most appropriate for this page on my website, and then generate that schema markup. So again, if this is like something that maybe you're aware of, but it's not something that you specialize in, maybe the technical side of SEO is not your strong suit, but you know it's important, this can be a helpful process to first understand which schema markup you should be utilizing, and then generating it for your through ChatGPT and implementing that. And schema markups, just to speak about the importance of those, this is how you can show up in the featured snippets on Google search. So any of those, I'm sure we all seen in Google search how you have the featured snippets of that would show up in a search result that someone doesn't click into the page to see. They're just shown there on search results. Schema markups, having those implemented is important so that you can show up in those types of featured snippets with the content you create and your website. So yeah, that's how I would utilize it for creating schema markups. And then when it comes to internal linking, this is another example of how I would use this to analyze this text. Let's say you have like a paragraph, maybe some paragraphs, whatever the case may be. Just copy that copy and paste that text in here, and then find internal linking opportunities for my website domain blank. So this is an opportunity. You could use this to find other blog posts that could be linked internally to a piece. Um, one of the reasons that I use this often is that whenever you create generative text through ChatGPT, it's not going to automatically include internal links, obviously. And internal linking is important to overall our SEO strategy. So I will often use this if I've created generative text through ChatGPT to very quickly add those internal links into the piece before it's published. Again, this is just one example of how you could do this. And then example two, suggest 3 internal links to my blog post that I can naturally incorporate within this text. Just copy and paste that text. And then here's my website blog page. Basically getting to the same thing. It's going to give you some internal linking opportunities that you can then implement and easily insert for the text that's been generated in these pieces. And then finally, looking at AI for link building. So link building is one of those things that we all know we need to be doing, but it can be a very time-consuming process, especially if you're a small team and you don't have a lot of time or resources. Link building can seem like a lot of time invested for very little payout, but it is obviously something that you should be doing for a healthy overall SEO strategy. The way that I like to use ChatGPT for link building strategy is obviously email copy. So it can be helpful for creating email copy for backlink outreach. So if you're looking to, say you're trying to promote a article to a list of websites for that blog about financial services, for example, you could easily create that email copy very quickly, obviously edit if as needed for tone, etc., or use ChatGPT and incorporate tone into the prompt for it to generate that for you. But can speed up that email writing process for your link building outreach. I'll also use it for locating websites for outreach. So ChatGPT won't locate the backlink opportunities itself. So it's not going to tell you, hey, these are the 5 blogs that you need to that have an opportunity for you to get a backlink for this other piece. It's not going to go that deep. Again, as I mentioned earlier, if you want to go that deep, that's when you invest in an outside tool that has those feature sets and has that more robust functionality. But if you're using just plain old ChatGPT by itself, you can use it to compile a list of websites. So, maybe you're saying, hey, I just don't even know where to start. Like, what are 50 websites I should be reaching out to start generating backlinks? This can be a helpful part of the process for it to generate that list and generate that content and text for you to then go after and further explore and see if it's an opportunity for the outreach. And then finally, when it comes to link building, one thing especially that I think is very beneficial, especially in the early days, if you're just getting started with content, you don't have a high domain authority, you're looking to start somewhere as an early stage company, guest blogging is a great way to build early stage backlinks. And you can find guest blogging opportunities through ChatGPT. So you can just ask ChatGPT straight up, locate backlink opportunities or guest blogging opportunities for based on this industry or this topic or what have you, and it's going to give you those websites that you can then reach out to, further explore, see if it's relevant, and it's a nice starting place as that brainstorming process for locating those websites, locating those guest blogging opportunities. So looking at some examples, first with email copy. This first example, write an email for backlink outreach tailored towards financial services bloggers. Leave a space for me to input the name or website of the blog. I like to include that so I can just very easily copy and paste like a name or a brand name into the content. Mention that I have a piece on managing credit card debt, and that would be a great resource for them to link to. Obviously, you could expand on this further if you had more specific information you wanted to highlight in the piece, but I just use this as a more general example. But this is going to generate an email copy that you can then use for conducting that outreach to these financial services blogs to, in aim, generate backlinks to this said piece that you have. In the second example, write an email for backlink outreach tailored specifically to this company. This would be an example, like say that you're wanting to have a more tailored approach. Say that there is a company that, this is a great opportunity for us. We really think that this is someone that we want to spend some time in and try to foster this relationship for future backlink opportunities. This is maybe where you want to take a more tailored approach. So you could say specifically to this company and their blog post blank. So if this is like something you want to spend more time on and be a bit more tailored in with the outreach. And then you can say, explain I have a resource on topic. That'd be a great resource for them to add to their blog. So again, I'd say example one is if you're doing more of like the way I like to say it's like a pray and spray method, like where you're doing a lot of outreach to say maybe a more niche audience of financial services, but it's a bit more general and going to a lot of bloggers or a lot of websites at once. Whereas example two is like, hey, I'm writing a very specific email to a single company or for a single blog piece. This is when you would use example two. And then identifying potential websites and guest blogging. These are pretty straightforward and pretty easy prompts, but these are things that I often find are overlooked as opportunities as ways to utilize ChatGPT. So like for this first example, pretty straightforward. Create a list of 30 blogs about financial services that are lesser known. The reason I like to say lesser known, especially if you're an early stage brand, maybe you have a lower domain authority. I'd say it's hard at times for you to swing for the fences and try to, get a backlink from HubSpot or like some high ranking domain or high ranking, a website with high domain authority. So if you go after these lesser known ones, especially in the early days, this can be a more fruitful strategy and can lead to a better ROI on the campaign and return on actual links that you generate from it. And in the second example, create a list of 20 websites that accept guest blog posts that are within the legal services industry. So again, let's say, and this could be literally any industry. Say you're financial services, say you're healthcare, mental health, whatever it might be. This can be a great place to brainstorm, get those links to those websites that provide those guest blogging opportunities. And you can then further explore and say, hey, do we want to write a guest blog for this piece? What's their domain authority? Again, ChatGPT is not going to analyze the domain authority of these blogs or these websites, etc. That's where the human touch comes into play, where you'd still want to go through and analyze these and say, okay, is it worth the time? Is this a reputable website? Is this a reputable blog? So on and so forth. It's not going to do that deeper analysis. That's when you want to go to an outside tool or an outside solution. But again, it's a great place to start for the brainstorming and like the getting things started part of the equation. So those are the prompts and just ways that you can use these types of prompts to move faster, create content, implement backlinking strategy, analyze technical SEO, so on and so forth. Just some common mistakes to call out before we close off for today. Say choose the right tools. Obviously, there's lots of AI tools out there. You don't need to invest in all of them. And also too, like I said, there's sometimes where ChatGPT does enough and that's all you need. And it's fine for what you're trying to accomplish. And maybe, for example, you're like, hey, we want to really prioritize backlinking strategy for the next 6 months. That's when maybe, okay, we should take a step further and look at exploring some additional investment into an AI tool that's tailored towards backlinking. Or maybe we want to, hey, we have very limited time. ChatGPT can speed up the writing process for content, but it's not going to be as thorough as I think Jasper AI or Copy.ai would be for me. That's when you'd say, okay, let's invest in that tool or not invest in that tool. Only you can know what's right for you and based off of your time, your team's resources, etc. But ultimately, you want to choose the right tools that make sense for the strategy you're trying to implement. as I've kind of harped on throughout this, really make sure you're still editing for copy, for tone, for brand, also for uh like fact checking. Like sometimes, I mean, everything that ChatGPT generates is not accurate all the time. You still want to go through and double check for accuracy of information for sure. Um, as with anything, when it comes to SEO, content strategy, etc., don't neglect user intent. It's very important when you're generating these keyword topics, creating the content, that you're still at the end of the day trying to understand what is, and you have a handle on what's the intent of the piece we're creating, what's the intent of what we're writing. Is it we're creating a transactional piece, we're creating an informational piece? What is uh, what would be the end goal of this piece? And obviously tying that into the user's intent for those keywords you're targeting. Again, this is, as I've kind of been saying, this is kind of more of the human touch, the strategy behind what you're doing. AI can be very helpful in generating and speeding things up, but you need to have the handle on the strategy and the goals of all of this before you jump into just generating stuff with AI. AI can also ignore the fundamentals of SEO, such as content structure, readability, crawlability. You'll want to be sure that when it comes to structures, like, I mean, don't forget the basics of like proper heading structures, um, internal linking, external linking, um, readability of content, so on and so forth. Those are all like fundamentals of SEO and content creation that AI can overlook. So just basically just be mindful of that, and don't overlook just the basics when it comes down to creating this type of content or using AI. Um, you need to come up with a strategy yourself. Don't go to AI and ask for it to come up with your SEO strategy. This is something that you would really want to spend time on, and your team, really understand what it is we're trying to accomplish, and just use AI to speed up the execution time of that, and to do more with less headcount. Um, and finally, test and iterate. Like, as with any of these prompts that I've given as examples, these are all like starting places and guides for ways that I use ChatGPT, but and I prompt ChatGPT, but you can obviously go further. Ask it to further change the tone, change the end user intent of this piece, or so on and so forth. Like, these are just places to start and building blocks, and you can continue to build upon these and change them and modify them to fit your end goal and kind of what you're looking to accomplish. But those are just some common things that I see are overlooked often when it comes to AI and using it for SEO and content creation. But yeah, that is all I had for today. So I have seen the chat with lots of questions. So yeah, we'll be happy to answer any questions that people have.
Fantastic, Ryan. Thank you so much for another great session. Dropping into the chat for folks, the feedback form for today's session, please make sure to fill that out. And then also the links to our upcoming sessions with Ryan and Rex Marketing in March. But if you have any questions now, please feel free to drop it in the chat, or if you want to unmute and ask directly, please feel free. We have 5 minutes. Awesome. I think you did a really good job, Ryan. You got a lot of praise and a lot of feedback throughout the presentation. So.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. If anyone has any questions, always feel free to follow up through email, what have you. I'd be happy to answer any questions, or if you want to dive deeper to any of this, happy to have conversations.
Awesome. Thanks again, Ryan and Rex Marketing, for being a great partner of Startout. I look forward to our next session. We hope to see you at a future Startout event. Have a great day.
Cool. Thank you.